So you may be developing a theory of your own about my life. Every time I record one of these video chats, I do it in front of a bookshelf somewhere. You might begin to wonder, are there any arenas of his life where there aren't bookshelves? Actually, I started to record this at my desk in my house. I'm at home right now recording this today. And when I looked on the screen, I noticed that there was a huge rack of my wife's shoes hanging on the back of the door, and that just seemed like a less than inspiring vision, although it depends on your tastes, I guess, and there's no accounting for that. Wanted to talk to you about a couple of things coming up next week. First of all, you have a research proposal on Tuesday, so let me give some time to that in just a moment. And then secondly, on Thursday you have your first exam in this class, and I do think it would be a good idea for you to spend half a dozen hours or so in preparation for this test. It's a tough one, and so you might want to start this weekend studying for that. I'm going to send out a study sheet for that as well. So, research proposal coming up. First of all, your syllabus has the protocols that you need for doing this assignment. I'm looking at those right now. For February 4, you're supposed to write a 2-page description, so it's not long, fortunately, of a problem in your experience. So you want to think about a kind of problem you could talk about. Then you want to justify the importance of that problem. You want to say, hey, people ought to care about this problem, both external to our discipline, like think about your grandma or your parents or people in your church or in your neighborhood. Why should they care about this problem? And then internal to the discipline. Why should communication scholars think about this problem? In other words, you're trying to say, hey, my paper's important, you ought to read it. Then you also want to talk about why you believe a particular tradition of communication theory will best speak to your problem. You've read about these traditions now, and we've begun to work with them in class. I asked you to focus on one of two traditions, either the rhetorical tradition or the socio-psych tradition. It depends kind of on your problem and on your inclinations. Some of you will be drawn to the rhetorical tradition because you're interested in problems that have to do with speech and address and image and representations of things and texts. You like to analyze stuff like that. Others of you will be drawn to other kinds of problems, like problems that have to do with interpersonal communication or organizational communication in a business, say, or in a church. It depends on your problem somewhat. I will say this one thing as a kind of hint. There are more articles available in the socio-psych tradition, simply because it's a larger tradition. So sometimes it's easier to find material in the socio-psych tradition. But the rhetorical tradition is older, and so there's a lot of stuff out there in that tradition as well. Alright, so some ideas for problems. I did a little bit of looking around for this, some things that other students have done. And I had a student write about the ways that romance gets described in reality television, especially The Bachelor. And someone examine how female athletes get represented in advertisements for running gear and stuff like that. Someone looked at weight loss commercials and the ways that they describe their own products. Had someone discuss sex trafficking and the discourse that surrounds sex trafficking. Had someone discuss the ways that religious communities deal with or talk about rap music or hip-hop. So those are a few ideas, but you might be interested in things like online education. You might be interested in the role of texting in everyday life. You might want to talk about different social media platforms. You might be interested in a particular kind of problem, such as divorce or romantic breakups or church splits or any number of things. As you know, there are lots of problems in life to talk about. So, let me conclude this by saying you also need to have a preliminary bibliography of 10 peer-reviewed sources. So you're going to have to spend some time with EBSCO this weekend. And I'll be looking for this 2-page proposal to be quick, efficient, swift, and complete. I'll also be looking at your composition and your style. So that's a heads up on that assignment coming up this Tuesday and your exam coming up the next Thursday. And I invite you to let me know if you have further questions about this. And let me now wish you grace and peace.